Hello, learners. Welcome back to class. My name is Miss Amina, your PhD tutor, and this week we'll be looking at the topic agents of communicable diseases. And by the end of this lesson, you should be able to identify the agents of communicable diseases and mention ways by which communicable diseases can be prevented. Okay, as mentioned in our last class, when you hear agents of communicable diseases, they are organisms that causes disease. And these organisms can also be referred to as pathogen. And these pathogen include the bacteria, fungi, viruses, protozoa, worm, and vectors. All right, class. Before we proceed, remember that we said communicable diseases, they are those diseases that can be transferred from one person to another. They are contagious and can also be called infectious diseases. And we also said that diseases are generally classified into two, which are the communicable and the non-communicable. So the non-communicable disease is the type of disease that cannot be transferred between persons to persons or animals to persons or animals to animals. So right now, these communicable diseases is the part that we'll be focusing on. And we said that there are some agents that carry these diseases, isn't it? So we said those pathogens are bacteria, the fungi, viruses, protozoa, and so on, and the vector. Yes. So now we're looking at the bacteria. Bacteria are microscopic single-celled organisms. Bacteria are what? Microscopic single-celled organism. What this means is that bacteria have just one cell, and they are microscopic in the sense that you cannot view it with your eyes only, except with the help of a microscope. So, bacteria that you are seeing exist in almost every environment on earth, even inside the human body. So we have many bacteria that are harmless and some help the body to function, yes. But also, we also have some bad bacteria that endangers human lives. All right, so some of the bacteria that can cause infections that can lead to damage to the human body includes the salmonella, the Escherichia coli, otherwise known as the E. coli, and the Mycobacterium tuberculosis. So the salmonella and the Escherichia coli are two different bacteria that infect the digestive system. So they spread through contaminated foods such as uncooked meats, unwashed vegetables, and fruits. And some of the symptoms you start seeing when this bacteria gets into your digestive tracts include abdominal cramps, then diarrhea, you'll be passing out a very loose and watery stool, you start having fever and headache. And next is the Mycobacterium tuberculosis. This is the bacteria that causes tuberculosis. The bacteria that causes tuberculosis is referred to as the Mycobacterium tuberculosis, and it primarily attacks the lungs. So it attacks the lungs, and we know that the lung is the organ of respiration, isn't it? So there are some kind of symptoms you start getting when this particular bacteria enters into your lungs. The first will be a cough continuing for more than 3 weeks, loss of appetite, unintentional weight loss, you'll be losing weight. Then you have night sweats, fever. So a person can actually catch this tuberculosis by inhaling droplets from the cough or sneeze of a person who has the infection already. So the next is the fungi. Fungi are a type of organism that include yeast, moths, and mushroom. So fungal infections include ringworm, athlete's foot, yeast infections. So fungal infection can occur anywhere in the body, but they commonly affect the skin and mucous membrane. So examples of this is your ringworm on the skin. It's a fungal infection that occur on the skin, and it has a shape, a round shape of a ring, just as the name imply, and it usually is dry, scaly, or itchy. So next we have viruses. So viruses are tiny pathogens that contain genetic material. And examples of virus infections are the influenza, the rhinoviruses, and the HIV/AIDS. Viruses lack the complex structure of a cell, unlike other pathogen. And so, in order for it to replicate, in order for it to multiply, they must enter the cells of other living things. They cannot replicate outside a living cell. You get it? So once they are inside, they use the cell's machinery to make copies of themselves. So, like I mentioned before, we have examples of viruses to be in the influenza, the rhinovirus, and the HIV/AIDS. So, the rhinovirus, they are a group of viruses that are responsible for the common cold. And the symptoms of these is a stuffy or runny nose, sore throat, and headache. So one can actually contact this from an infected person through sneezing of that infected person. When you inhale the droplet of sneeze that comes out of an infected person, you can easily get it. And then we have the influenza. The influenza viruses, they are viruses that attack the respiratory system. The respiratory system. So, example of the symptoms you start getting when you've contacted the influenza is that you start having cough, sore throat, headache, muscles or body aches, fatigue, you feel tired easily. And then we have the HIV/AIDS. So the HIV attacks the immune system of its host. So these people that have contacted it are the hosts. So when you hear HIV, they attack the immune system of its host. It makes the person vulnerable to other infections and diseases. So a person can contract HIV as a result of contact with blood or other body fluids containing the virus. Now we have symptoms to know if someone has contacted this HIV. One is fever, rash, mouth sores, sore throat, night sweats, muscle aches, fatigue. And the only way a person can be sure that or certain that they have HIV is to have an HIV test and so on. So worms are parasites in nature and they infect the alimentary canal of human beings. When you hear alimentary canal, it's talking about the digestive tract also. Examples of this parasitic worm that can infect the alimentary canal are the hookworm, tapeworm, and roundworms. They are some of the examples of parasitic worms that can infect a human digestive tract. Lastly, here we have vectors. So vectors are living organism that carries and transmits a pathogen from infected person to non-infected person. So basically, when you hear vector, they are carrier of diseases. So they carry and spread diseases from one person to another. Example of these vectors include the mosquito. Mosquito is a good example as it transmits the malaria, the disease called malaria, also yellow fever, even Zika virus. Then the ticks transmit the Lyme disease. Also, we have are the rodents, and the rodents can transmit the hantavirus, plague, and rat bite fever. Now, there are some preventive measures you take if you want to be free from all these infections and diseases. The preventive measures include washing of your hands often. You wash your hands before eating, after using the toilet, after doing any kind of chore, make sure you wash your hands. Then clean and disinfect commonly used places you use often. Make sure you clean it all the time and you disinfect them. Then we also have do not share personal items. Personal items like a toothbrush, your clothing, your undies, these are personal items, your towel. Then cough and sneeze into your sleeve so you won't spread any kind of infection. Then handle and prepare food safely. Your cooking environment should be clean always. Your cooking utensils also should also be neat at all times. Eat balanced diet. Eat food that are rich in nutrients in the right quantity. Then get vaccinated. You need to get some vaccine. So you have to be immunized against and vaccinated against some kind of illnesses so that you will not contact them. Then other ones, you can stay at home when sick, stay at home when you are sick, and avoid touching wild animals as they can easily transfer some kind of diseases to us. So thank you very much as we have come to the end of today's class. All right, see you in our next class. But before I leave you, I have some questions for you. The first is mention five pathogens, that is, agents of communicable diseases, and give me two examples each of the kind of diseases that can be transferred by them. Then, secondly, mention five preventive measures of communicable diseases. There's five ways that we can prevent communicable disease. See you in our next class.